following program may contain coarse language, suggestive dialogue, and discussion of violent imagery and sexual situations. It is intended for mature listeners who can tell the difference between facts and opinions.
Real fire and brimstone stuff on this episode of the Toonami Faithful podcast. I am your host, Sketch, and with me I have
editor for ToonamiFaithful.com, Kuro, and co-host
Ed,
an editorial writer, LaserKid,
and bringing up the rear,
social media and streamer, Steven.
Yes, I know, it's amazing. Only 4 people on this one.
Wow,
we probably won't make a habit of it
because there are 3 shows.
You really love having all the extras, don't you, Sketch?
It's fun. I love having other people on the podcast, get other opinions. It's been great lately having various guests. And we will surely have some more, but we figured we got 3 big premieres tonight, 2 of them being season premieres. We really probably couldn't handle having a guest, but I still tried. I still tried.
Sketch like
that's
having
okay.
A handful of people.
A full house.
Yeah.
A full house. It's fun. But yes, we have 3 big premieres, and we're not going to go quite in the order of their broadcast. We'll change it up a little bit. So first, we're going to talk about Lazarus. Then I'll kick it over to Kuro to handle Blue Exorcist. And then I will take the reins again for Bleach, the 1,000-Year Blood War. So with that, I don't think we really have anything to say except something that's more relevant to Blue Exorcist, so we'll just leave it till then. All right, here we go with Lazarus episode 7, Almost Blue. The crew has a rooftop barbecue that goes terribly wrong when Axel uses a flamethrower.
Who could have seen that one being a problem coming?
He scared the chunky boy. How dare he?
Poor chunky.
And our favorite policeman is back, doing nothing.
Womp womp. Oh, that's a fire that could be.
Also, Chris is trying to figure out how old the guys are, and she thinks Axel's around 28, maybe 29, and Doug, she says she thinks is 40, but they're both 23. And boy,
40,
does Doug take it personally.
Making me feel very sad at almost
I'm not
34.
getting 40 vibes. I'm getting like 32 vibes from Doug.
Yeah.
I feel he's definitely not 23. I'm sorry. He's like too chill for
I think
he
had his numbers reversed there.
Yeah, 32 feels right.
32. I could see 32. I could see 32.
Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah, but that was a fun opener. I enjoyed that. And Leland's over here, I'm 16, and Chris is like, shut up, you brat. He tries to pinpoint her age, and you never ask a lady her age. How rude. She's probably like 28, something like that. So remember when Skinner said the polar ice caps would melt? Well, that's happening, and now people are starting to call Skinner a prophet.
And the exact day he said it would.
Yeah. They're kind of like forgetting about him being a terrorist, perhaps, and just being like, oh, what else did Skinner tell us?
It would be funny if it wasn't actually happening in real time, in real life.
Yeah.
Right. Yeah.
It's a little on the nose.
It's more than a little on the... This show wears its politics on its sleeve.
Yeah.
And proudly displays them.
Yeah, but this isn't a political issue. This is a scientific fact.
Yes, this is true.
Yeah.
And some people try to make it a political thing, and it's not.
No, it's not.
Not a political thing.
No.
But what is a political thing is the possibility of World War III breaking out before humanity even dies from Hopna.
Yay?
Yeah.
That'd be a pretty fast war.
Yeah.
I'm not sure what the point of it would be.
Wouldn't last very long.
Well, haven't you heard of the 1-week war, the 1-day war, the 1-year war?
Yeah.
1 Year War. I've heard of that one.
1 Year Wars. That's a little too long. Little too long.
I think a 1 minute war is a little too long.
Yes. Remember that previous episode that we thought was pretty pointless and wasting time? Well, so did the FBI, because they didn't find anything in the commune that really linked anything to Skinner. In fact, they even say that even though Skinner's brain was used to model Naga, it seems like he wasn't actually involved in the process. Okay. Not sure how that works.
Yeah, how did you get his brain without his involvement?
Well, maybe, I mean, he may have been a model, but he may not have been involved in the programming.
Oh, that makes sense.
Yeah.
If you think about it, that's not really what he does. He's the different kind of scientist. He's not a programmer, so it doesn't surprise me.
Yeah, they just like scanned his brain and like, okay, they're gonna use his model. That his brain, like, as the model, and then they were just feeded all kinds of stuff. Maybe probably some stuff from him to say, hey, they used him as a model to learn, but then it went off and it did its own thing.
Yeah. So really having nothing to go from other than some information that they're still waiting on from Naga's brain, they decide to, Doug suggests that they look back at the original video and see if they can come up with anything from that. And they finally talk about the fact that Skinner referred to himself as the seventh trumpeter. And yes, that is referencing the book of Revelation, where the Apostle John was shown a vision of the future by God, and God, enraged by humanity's arrogance, brings down all sorts of disasters, volcanic eruptions, meteor storms, and eventual war. And each angel's sound of their trumpet is warning for the next calamity, and after the seventh angel blows its trumpet, final judgment gets delivered upon humanity. The real fire and brimstone stuff.
Knowledge.
I mean, I got it directly from the show. I'm quoting it almost verbatim.
No, I just wanted to be impressed that you actually knew this on your own, but we'll go with that too.
One would wonder why I don't know the Bible better, but let's not talk about that. But even I knew from, just the reference, the seventh trump is like, wait a minute.
Yeah.
Skinner says he doesn't want to unilaterally judge humanity, but if he considers himself the seventh trumpeter,
He kind of did.
right before final judgment is delivered upon humanity, yeah. Well, anyway, in Naga's memory bank, there's some seemingly random set of numbers, which Axel thinks might be a phone number, and Elena tries to decode it. But Doug thinks, hey, this looks like coordinates. And sure enough, it is coordinates for 4 islands that were submerged 10 years ago by global warming, which Skinner happened to purchase, probably for no reason, right?
No good reason, yeah. No, just for fun, really.
So those places being Manila Bay in the Philippines, the Maldives, Sakishima Islands in Japan, and Tuvalu in Fiji. 4 of the team head out to those individual locations, while of course Elena decides to have a staycation at home with a whole bunch of snacks and drinks, and just seems like she's having a great time. Good for her. She deserves it after last episode.
Yeah.
And they don't really find much of anything as they look around. Some of them dive into the water. I don't think... Yeah, Leland doesn't seem to even go into the water, which, okay. But the other ones do. Also, proof that the rest of them have outfits. Like, I didn't know Doug had anything other than that suit. With Axel, it makes sense. I mean, he stole his threads and probably doesn't have anything else. But apparently they do have a change of wardrobe. We already saw Chris had a different one in the previous episode. But yeah,
And
even
Leland has a dress.
Yeah. I don't think that's Leland's dress.
It is now.
But he has a nice flowery shirt. He's trying to get on a boat that's only intended for like 10 people at a time. And he's like, no, I really need to get on this boat. And he's trying to communicate and clearly not speaking the same language. Doug gets some kind of a helicopter thing, and Chris just straight up buys a boat for I wrote this down, $74,100. Girl got money.
Yeah, just a nice afternoon purchase.
And as they're navel gazing and looking at the beauty around them, as they all kind of reminisce on how the world used to be so much more beautiful before, everything. And the only beautiful remaining places in the world seem to be the ones largely untouched by humanity. Chris even starts thinking, maybe Skinner's not wrong. She's drinking the Kuro tea over here.
Yeah, that's my girl.
Oh, I should mention at some point we see some other characters that we're not familiar with yet that seem to be up to some kind of operation. And when a guy says, hey, maybe we should wait till tomorrow, the lady says, we don't have a guarantee of tomorrow. You should know that. Interesting. But the five converse about all of that, and Leland brings up the thought, hey, what happens after we find Skinner? Does Team Lazarus break up? And Doug is like, yeah, we break up. I mean, that's the point, right? And I think Leland wants to keep the crew together. Nobody else seems to really care. And Hirsch meets up with her contact, who we finally learn is named Abel. She meets him up at a museum displaying the art of Rembrandt. Before that, Abel is in a car with a driver who's named Liz, and she remarks that it's odd that he's going to see Rembrandt when he's known as such a cold-hearted, pragmatic person that people think he might even be an AI. And he kind of smirks at that and says, never heard that one before. Oh, yes, he's talking...
Abel. Did there. That's funny.
Yeah. Abel is talking to Hirsch at the museum displaying the Rembrandt art and points out that the true nature of things can be heavily dependent on how they are illuminated, and that is shown through Rembrandt's art. There's also a painting in there depicting the raising of Lazarus. And as they're in front of the raising of Lazarus, he and Hirsch talk about various things, including an intelligence branch in the military has been investigating the prison in Arizona and an incident that happened at the Schiphol airport, both seemingly involving Axel. And Hirsch tells him that she believes that Skinner wants to be found and that Axel is the one that can shed light on things. Again, shedding light on things. So the four find nothing of note until Axel's guide reveals he has no pain due to a genetic condition, analgesia. Hope I pronounced that right. And a lot of people in that area happen to have it.
Analgesia.
Yeah.
You were close.
So Skinner took gene samples from a bunch of people on those islands and then paid them enough buying the islands so that they could move to other islands and start life somewhere else. And then he took that work to the Hague Institute and used the samples to study, probably to create Hapna, because these are people with a genetic that they don't feel pain. So, makes sense. And Elena is shocked to discover that Hirsch was among those researchers. The rest of us are like, duh.
Yeah. We knew she had. We knew there was something.
There was something, and now we got the something.
Yeah.
Even more than that, she mentions she doesn't understand why Skinner would leave her behind. Anyway, after returning to land from doing the searching the area, Chris has an unexpected encounter with that woman we saw earlier, who calls out to her by the name Alexandra. I guess that's not her real name, Christine. And frankly, I think Alexandra's a better name anyway.
It is. It's a beautiful name. It's an ancient
It is. Yes. A very beautiful ancient name.
name. Mm-hmm.
And we see in the episode preview that she has been, well, I'm not going to say kidnapped, but she's tied up somewhere on a boat, somewhere very cold. And this woman and her seem to have some kind of history. Interested to see where that goes. I have to say about this episode is I feel like we're actually getting somewhere now.
Yes.
Yeah.
We're finally on the road to plot.
Just a little bit. Much improved. Probably the best episode since, well, I mean, there hasn't been that many since 4. Best episode since 4, possibly the best so far.
It's my favorite.
I think
episode
depending
so
on what
far.
you're looking for. Like, there was no flashy action moment. Axel didn't really do anything crazy. But that's okay. Because the importance was on the information, just the beautiful scenery, and everybody kind of drinking it in. And Axel seems oddly fixated on what Naga was trying to accomplish, which is interesting. And he sees Naga as trying to understand Skinner because Naga considers Skinner its father. Sure.
Maybe.
I guess an
Question
AI
mark?
might care about that.
It feels like an odd deduction to come to, given how little we've had a chance to talk to that thing.
Yeah, like, bro, you talked to that thing for mere seconds. Like, not even a full minute. But hey, you know, you can come to that conclusion. They're also kind of thinking that Skinner is leaving them these breadcrumbs to kind of see what he saw and experience what he has. So I don't really see that as what's been happening. I kind of more agree with Doug that he's just kind of playing around with them.
Yeah. I think he definitely has some plan and had some idea of how this would play out and what direction people would take, and ultimately, so you know, I don't know if it was purposeful. It was more him being a genius and understanding human nature and how they might investigate things to find him. What I really love about this episode is the heavy use of symbolism. And it actually made me go back and think about the different uses of symbolism in the previous episodes. And I found that there's a lot of little things, but the way they talk about light, and they make the connection between the painting and the title, and of course, you know, I think each character's contributions and their personality types, there's some symbolism there, and the biblical symbolism. There's a lot of little hints here that these things are meant to come together in some cohesive way. And I have to appreciate the artist, the creator himself, you know, Watanabe, for being able to put that all together into one thing, because I think I'm beginning to think that he has some plan that all these little bits make up a nice, beautiful puzzle, which doesn't surprise me. He's done that in previous works, and we talked last week about that, how he, you know, how we've compared previous works of his to this one. But one thing that I really loved that I didn't get until today, I did notice the episode title for last week was Heaven is a Place on Earth. And I just, you know, oh yeah, like the song. And then I saw this one, Almost Blue. So I went back, every single episode
They're
title
all song
is based
titles.
off a song. Yeah, a song. It's Almost Blue being the Elvis Costello album, single album. So we have, you know, 7 episodes based off of songs. And I think that's a pretty elegant, and they're all meant to connect somehow to the music. I mean, he's always been heavily influenced by music in his animation, but that's a nice touch. And I can't believe I didn't notice it until now.
Yeah, I think I mentioned that early on before, but, you know, fair enough that you notice it now.
It might have been one of those things that, you know, I heard, and then it went in one ear and out the other. I don't have as precise a memory as you, but But now, like, it really set in when I saw this latest one. I was like, oh, it came together for me. Also, I love the discussion around the Rembrandt paintings. I love Rembrandt, so I love that period of the Dutch artists and the post-Renaissance paintings. I have always been a big fan, so it was really fun seeing that incorporated into the episode.
Yeah. What are your thoughts, Laser?
It was interesting to just see all of this come together and finally go somewhere. I've been pretty hard on the show the last 2 episodes for spinning its wheels, but we're getting closer. We're learning things. I mean, the obvious thing was revealed to us, the audience, but now, Lazarus as a team knows it, and I feel like it was interesting. While I just made fun of the whole idea of, okay, what does the AI want? Ha ha ha. But it's an interesting thought, though. What if Skinner did leave breadcrumbs, wanting people to think things through the way he did, wanting to be understood as a really strong human emotion? So I could totally see that being a motive for him for wanting people to search him out. He wanted people to understand why he's done whatever it is that he has done.
Yeah. How about you, Steven?
It's interesting. It's like everyone says it's a slow burn, and I can see that because I remember the IGN review saying, the first 5 episodes it can't, it's too slow, nothing really pays off. Maybe that's what this is trying to tell us. I mean, it's trying to tell 2 different stories in the same way, because it's both showing us the real life events of like, okay, these things are going to happen to these islands in the future if climate change continues on its path, right? And so it's kind of showing that future, but then it's also showing us that the fans who, went too quickly into these shows might get, find it with these 5 episodes, 6 episodes saying, hey, this anime is been waiting to pay off, but it's not quite there yet. And then within that final 2 minutes, or around that final 2-minute period, you get a lot of things answered in not just like individual growth with Hirsch and with Chris, but you get all these answers to things that we knew. It's just like, okay, but then these questions bring up more questions. So it's weird, proving that this whole mystery runs deeper, and then maybe it's all just so Skinner is like guiding this team, the Lazarus team, into a journey into his personal experiences. I mean, that's the way maybe that I felt about it. I had 2 things I want to say about that. Brittany said, our other social media reporter over here, when we're talking in the chat, when we do the Toonami live tweets, she said that she has a theory that people are trying to frame Skinner, that he's trying to lead them to a place, and then it's like, they're trying to solve everything. And she goes, I feel like they solve anything, but how Skinner was a humanitarian in every way. That it's like he's always good. Everything that they try to prove wrong, he's always shown up as doing the best thing the whole way. And so she feels like that someone's trying to frame Skinner or something, and Skinner's chilling out on the moon or somewhere. And so I'm like, okay, cool. That's a great idea. Another theory that I thought of, which is a stupid theory, which I don't know why it popped in my head, but when in that episode preview, or when they're on the tanker for that episode preview, Chris is like, what was that other girl's name that she said? Like Lila? Or no, it wasn't Lila. It was...
I don't think we got her name, but maybe.
No, she said some type of name. It reminded me of Captain Planet. And I'm like, what? And each of them makes sense that it's Captain Planet.
Powers
Axel.
combined.
Yeah, it's about
word.
every single one
Captain
of them.
Lazarus.
Yeah, it's some type of. I don't know if that's like intentional or not, but when then they showed the lineup of all of them, just like lined up saying, "Hey, it's coming next week," and I'm looking at it, I'm like, "Oh no, it's Captain
It is
Planet.
Captain Planet.
It's some prequel to it or something. I don't know, but it's
Oh
like Captain
my
Planet." I'm like,
word.
"Oh."
Hero, gonna take pollution down to 0. I can't believe I remember that. Don't worry,
It's-
guys. I'm cringing along with you.
We're the
Oh, man.
planet
Oh,
too.
man, no.
You can be one too. Because watching two.
So obviously Axel is Wheeler.
Yep, there it is, Axel Wheeler.
Leland's
our
Ma
two-
T?
That's what I was
guess.
thinking. I mean, maybe one of them has to have heart. I was thinking maybe Elena. If that is, you got Kwame for
Yeah.
Doug.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Yes.
it all really fits, and then they have the colors behind them, and I'm like, oh no.
So they're gonna find Skinner by combining their bracelets.
I don't know. It's a weird theory for that. I don't think that's going to happen. But it's like, why would you have a team of 5? You know, with
I
colors
made that
behind
reference
them.
a few weeks ago, and nobody picked up on that. I can't believe you guys.
Well,
I'm just disappointed, is what I am.
These guys don't listen that much.
I mean, I have to listen back. I definitely didn't remember you saying that.
It was either
Just like
last
you
week or the week
definitely didn't
before.
remember me saying that the episodes are based on.
All right, way to turn my words back on me, Sketch. All right, let's call it offsetting penalties. No penalty in the first down.
Speaking of penalties, I deserve the ultimate penalty because I forgot to get the recording bot in here. So before we move on to Blue Exorcist, I'm going to go ahead and do that.
I got you on the recording front, but yes. Tried to flag you down, but
Obviously, I need to look at the group chat.
So there was one thing while we were talking that I thought about as well. You know, the military looking for Axel. I thought that's kind of interesting. Why
That's probably
did
important.
Hirsch pick Axel? And more importantly, what drew her to any of them individually on this team? Because initially I'm thinking, oh, this is some kind of Ocean's 11 situation. Everyone has a particular set of skills. And yet, the military is specifically looking for Axel. Maybe all of them have some other importance beyond their particular set of skills. Because why? I mean, how would she have picked him out specifically?
So
break
they
out of
mentioned
prison?
the prison they're talking about in this episode. That was the prison that he broke out of, I think, not a previous one. And then was he at an airport in that episode when he was running from the cops? I think he might have been.
It was some like train station type.
Okay,
thing,
so that's probably not the airport in question. Which could be what he originally got put in jail for.
Mm-hmm.
I guess we'll see.
Because Hirsch
Again,
says,
Finally.
Hirsch says Axel is the one. He can shed light on everything. Is Axel Hirsch's son?
No.
Is
I
it
don't
Skinner's
know.
son?
This is
No.
This isn't a Star Wars situation. This is about biology. This is about biology. I do feel vindicated now that we can, like, you know, I feel like sometimes when we do these and someone says something in an episode, everybody jumps in on, well, I'm gonna take this fact and theorize on it and twist it. You know, I like, we know for sure now Axel can't feel pain. He said it.
Mm-hmm.
It's Anon. We know he can't feel pain. That's why the Hapna didn't affect him. I'm more curious to know if that's actually a permanent, like, if that means because he doesn't feel pain and it didn't affect him physically, if that also means that the side effect of this time bomb doesn't affect him as well.
Yeah, because
Yeah,
there will be a group of people that are still living after this.
Oh,
because
obviously. Someone have
he-
taken it.
Well, yeah, and then the people on the boat said all those people don't feel pain. So if they never felt pain, why would they take a pill that erases pain, right? And so all of those people in Tuvalu or wherever Axel was, they're not going to take
The
it. They're going to keep
Maldives.
living. Yeah, they're going to keep living their lives, and so it's going to be interesting to see how that plays because there is something, her choice on picking him wasn't just about his sick parkour moves. It wasn't just that. It was
But they help.
there was something else. So we can figure out that most of it had to do, or some of it at least had to do, with his inability to not feel pain. And so if he maybe just taking it once doesn't really work, that far, or is there
You
something
guys
that
keep
stops it?
bringing up he can't feel pain, but he said that it didn't work. You said Hapna didn't work for him. He's never said he can't feel pain.
Yeah.
He can clearly feel pain. He's
Yeah,
felt
'cause
pain
it
before.
didn't work for him because he still felt the pain, so he can feel pain.
Okay.
Yeah.
So
Right.
then,
You're right. Yes, I
But he
mixed
did say
my
Hapna
my
doesn't
stuff.
work for him, and we've already theorized that either it really doesn't work for him because of genetics, or somebody just fleeced him.
It doesn't
True,
work for
true.
him because if he was used as one of the people who was the drug was tested for, then or based off of, then he would be naturally immune to it. It's like if you think about how cancer, how cancer research works currently, where they test people who have natural immunities to certain types of cancers, then that's how you base off vaccines for other people. But that's not going to work on the person because that's their already existing genetic makeup. You can't give them medicine of what they already have. It's not going to change anything.
How great is it that we're debating the finer points of the show and not why it's so stupid?
Yes, much better. This was much better.
Much better. There is a light. It
There was a light
it
at
took
the end of
almost
the
7
tunnel.
episodes to get there, but
I mean, it was
You know-
slow, but yeah.
If it just keeps going from this rate forward, it's gonna be great.
it seems like it probably will.
I think so too. I think so too.
I had my doubts before, but not only are they connecting just a little bit of tissue from the previous episode with the Naga stuff, but we clearly are moving on to a more connected storyline in the next one. So, good.
Did they forget about that pill?
They have said
Like
nothing about that pill since.
They said they were back to square one. I'm like, what about the pill? What happened to that pill? Like,
One
episode
more
2?
moment that I just want to appreciate was Axel trying to eat some of the charred remains of the food and being like, no,
Nope, not
food.
food.
Okay, that is just a straight up Spike thing to do.
Yeah, this is just Spike.
He could be an ancestor. Who knows?
Could be.
Of
Who
Mugen.
knows? Well, he would be a descendant of Mugen.
Descendant Mugen.
He's the missing link between the two, is what you're telling me.
Yes, there's a
Perhaps.
there's a familial connection between all three. But yeah.
Yeah. Any final thoughts? Anybody? Okay. With that, I will pass it over to Kuro as we begin the Kyoto Saga of Blue Exorcist.
Yeah. I think it's important to note that we had a very interesting intro sketch. Yeah, we had a Tom intro.
Yes, Tom and Sarah
Essentially,
explained.
Yeah. Essentially, I mean, I didn't expect that at all, but I will say that, I was
I
always
didn't
intending
either.
on doing that, and we've been saying this, the past 10, not 10, 8
Several
episodes of Blue
episodes.
Exorcist. Yeah, for the last 8 episodes of Blue Exorcist, we've been saying all this too. Essentially, this picks up right after the events of the camp events.
The
where
trial's slightly
Ren,
different than what happened, but it's the same idea.
yeah, Ren's revealed to be a half demon, in front of all his friends. The fight with the Maimon happens. All of that happens, and then he gets taken away, and he gets put before the Grigori and all that jazz. So this happens right afterwards. We're picking
And the
up.
candle training starts.
Yep, we're hitting the ground running, folks.
So that is
Essentially,
to say that one moment where he blew the clothes off of his brother and his what's her name?
Shura?
Shura, yeah. That is canon. That happened in the manga.
Yes. Yeah. Yeah, so he's doing his candle training. So we start off the episode in the city and we see a scene of some exorcists fighting something. And a masked figure grabs a curious boy and threatens him with a flask full of a mysterious substance. While a handful of exorcists look on in dismay. Back to Rin on the roof trying to control his flames and lighting the candles and failing miserably. He's just melting them into puddles of wax. And Shura comes up and just reiterates, that's what he's supposed to be doing. So they're trying to put us back on track right at the beginning. There's a little bit of repetition in this episode, which is okay. I think at this stage we needed it. I didn't, but everybody else did. Just kidding. Everybody needed it. Shura then gets a call, and off they go to see what's what, because Rin can't be left alone, and even if he was, he'd follow her anyway. Yukio and Shura show up at the site where the exorcists from the previous scene are, and we're introduced to the character of Saburota Todo, who is a senior exorcist tasked with keeping watch over something called the left eye of the impure king. He states it was a relic stolen by the figure that we saw in the opening scene, and the figure used the boy as a shield and released the miasma from the flask, infecting numerous citizens and exorcists. So they're suffering before fleeing into a building with the child as a shield, which is a really cowardly move, I gotta say. Like, don't do that. Don't be that person.
Yeah, that's pretty awful.
It's pretty shitty. The mother, frantic.
Hello, unrelated child. I will take you hostage.
Yeah, the mother's completely frantic, and Rin reassures her. And this is an interesting moment because, it seems like a standard, like Rin being his altruistic self and I just want to save everybody, and he's very confident, like, we're gonna get your kid back. He promises her. Or Yukio says the complete opposite. He's like, he's probably already infected. I don't know what more we could do. And they're both angry at each other for it. And it's really especially interesting because, anyone who's watched a cop show, you say you don't make a promise because you don't know if you can keep it. Rin's speaking from a place of a lack of knowledge and immaturity. And Yukio, partially, I think it is him being contrary, but he's very, it's very much in what we know about his personality, and that he's a negative Nelly, for lack of a better word. So yes, we get the Yukio we know and despise back. Yay. Anywho, Todo asks to enter the building with Yukio, who is going after the figure in an attempt to retrieve the boy and the flask, and explains that he's part of a generation of guardians who have looked after and the left eye. And Rin just shows up there. Both of them are in suits, right? And Rin just shows up. He's like talking. He's like, "Oh, hi." He's wearing no suit. And he gets tasked. Yeah, I mean, he's just there. Like that's his thing. I don't know why Yukio's surprised, but he's extremely resentful. Again, back to the Yukio we know, who hates his brother or something.
Well, Rin was supposed to go off with Shura to do something else.
Why are any of them surprised? I mean, I feel like Shura knows this is going to happen, and she kind of, part of me thinks that she kind of expects it and just is like, whatever.
Yeah, I think that's accurate.
I'll be close by just in case.
That's why Yukio's all like, you're not doing what you're supposed to do.
Well, okay, at this stage, let's be honest. We know here, the four of us, that there is some jealousy and resentment happening here. This isn't just Yukio like you're being irresponsible and I'm responsible. That's one small part of this. This is a lot of inter-brother bullcrap.
Oh yeah, no, you're not wrong.
Yeah, which you can see in the first argument they have in this episode. It's a very clear indication of their personality difference and where they are in their relationship. That's the only reason I highlighted it. So, Rin's given the cage with the little bird, and he's like, "Why am I carrying this bird?" "Well, you're carrying it to detect miasma, and it'll stop chirping when there's miasma." He's like, "You mean like right now?"
It was funny because as soon as he said it, I'm like, I don't think it's been chirping. You mean like right now?
Yeah.
Oh, it isn't chirping.
Yeah. A plus for observation skills there, buddy. At that point they immediately encounter the masked person with the child who doesn't look good. Yukio shoots the figure and it disappears and the flask it's holding breaks. And in a moment of confusion, suddenly Yukio gets kicked from behind. Who kicked him from behind? Oh no, it's Toto, who has revealed himself to be possessed by a demon. He attempts
Dang it,
to
Toto.
yeah, Rin attempts to leave with the child and he is burned by the blue flames, which of course we know won't harm him, but it's certainly going to harm the kid. And Yukio steps in, but he's very easily disarmed by he's very easily disarmed. And can I just say, if you're going to carry a gun in a professional capacity and you're going to be that easily disarmed, you have no business using that gun. No business. Very unprofessional, Yukio. It may be that I have a bias.
No,
Just
but I think
throwing
you're
that out
right.
there. Yeah. Toto then explains what caused him to go to the dark side, which amounts to me personally, I guess, boredom. And he gave in to temptation. Wasn't really much of an explanation, but it
Toto is
sounds
like
like
one of the most hateable bad guys in Blue Exorcist, and that says a lot.
yeah, he's it sounds like it didn't take much. I mean, I'm not kidding when I say he really makes it sound like he was just bored with this generational task of guarding this thing and then suddenly turning to the dark side brought him alive, which is really creepy. And while he's subduing both brothers, an alarm on his wristwatch goes off and he disappears, ominously saying he will be back. He will be ready to welcome Yukio when Yukio turns. And he is definitely he's unsettled Yukio with his talk about turning, obviously,
Well, he
to the
makes
demonic
direct
side.
comparisons about how he resented his brother, and there's definitely
Mhm.
flash comparisons made there.
Yeah. Yeah, it seems like a sort of throwaway villain comment, but it clearly affects Yukio very strongly. His argument when he states why he turned and how flippantly he states it. So meanwhile, the poor child is sprouting gruesome purplish spores and must be treated immediately. And Yukio removes his shirt and nervously attempts to inject the cure into the spores while he has a couple on his own self. It's quite disgusting. Unfortunately, he really can't focus because all he can think about is what Toto said to him about weakness in his heart. However, the child is actually saved and returned to his mother as they both brothers leave. At that moment, Mephisto and Shura show up, and they because they know what they saw was a decoy. They state, "Well, actually, no, the real left eye was stolen." Um, so that sucks. That sounds bad. Whatever that means at this point. Also, someone tried to steal the right eye simultaneously in Kyoto. So Mephisto is assembling a team to track down the stolen eye, and he's going to put Yukio on it. Yukio at that point, he's a mixture of arrogant and resentful, tells Shura to better watch his brother. And things are really, really just deteriorating between them as Rin seems to shout after him that he's going to surpass him, and Rin laughs at him mockingly. We move on to, I guess, I don't know, a few days later, who knows. But we see Rin with our season premiere of the most adorable looking cat in the all of anime, maybe. But finally the return of the one cat that will solve all the problems. Kuro, who's lounging on Rin's head. as he's expressing excitement over a trip to Kyoto. So jealous. I want to go. I want to go with them. I'll take Kuro. You go fight demons. I'll take the kitty. Anyway, everyone, well, when Rin enters the train, everyone seems to be pretty put off by him still. But Rin just focuses on geeking out over Kyoto, and Shiumi then boards the train. And she awkwardly turns away, but then runs into the other three boys. Rin is just behaving like usual, and he's excited and tries to share his excitement with who he thinks is his friends. And Ryuji expresses frustration. And then the other two boys ignore him. They state in a very passive-aggressive manner. Don't do this, folks. Talking about a person where they can hear you and you're not involving them in the conversation. That's some serious middle school bullshit. But they say that they're afraid that he's going to go on another rage. So, poor Rin. At least Kuro still loves you. And me. I still love you. At that point, Izumo enters. I know. I really feel for him. He's not. I mean, he's not bad. He's not doing anything. He's just there. And well, Izumo enters, cool as a cucumber, and sits down right next to Rin in spite of being offered to sit with the other kids.
That hits so differently for me now.
It does. It does.
I can't say why.
It does.
I cannot say why, but it does.
Well, and it's funny because this is an interesting reflection on what we saw in episode 18, 19 of her behavior, where she doesn't care at that point about what happened, the same reveal. So it's almost the same. It's almost the same scene, same sequence of her and her response, but now we have it in a canonical setting. So I thought that was really a very interesting note.
Well, I mean, it does make sense. She doesn't really care to get connected to anyone, so why would he be any different? It's not like it's special. She doesn't care.
Yeah.
The opposite of love is not hate; it's indifference. She's just like, yeah, okay, yeah, okay.
He saved her. He's
true.
been good to her. She has no reason to be resentful. He's saved her more than once.
He's also helped everyone else too, though.
Yeah, unfortunately, they're all assholes with sticks up their butts, and she's not. She has one, but not about this.
One giant guy with one giant stick up their butt in particular, but yes.
Yeah.
Yeah, the two others aren't helping, but you know.
Yeah. So, Sure gives them a brief about the theft of everyone on the train and the attempted theft of the eyes of the Impure King. A recap, if you will. And we learn that the Impure King is a demon who spread plagues during the late Edo period, killing an estimated 40,000 people before a priest named Fukaku subdued him, gouging out his eyes in the process. Excuse me. Unfortunately, the eyes give off a miasma, which was the source of the miasma we saw earlier. So their mission is to beef up security at the Kyoto's facility and prevent the theft of the right eye. At this point, Rin turns to Izumo and asks why she isn't scared of him, and she points out that lots of exorcists are a mix of half-demon, and how it doesn't bother her, and then she calls out her boneheaded classmates. And also points out that probably the only reason they're a little afraid of him is because his Satan association, but that doesn't seem to bother her. She's like, they just don't know where you stand yet. But she's very matter-of-fact about the whole situation. And I think she's also trying to show up the rest of them because, you know, like I stated, he saved her before. She has this special gratitude towards him, but of course she's not going to show it that way. So this is her way of showing it. And Rin is just so happy that she's trying to cheer him up. He ends up embarrassing her. But then she mocks the friends about how shabbily they're treating Rin. And Ryuji stands up, you know, huffing and puffing, and Rin asks him why he won't trust him. And then we get a flashback back to the fight of Amaimon. Remember that fight? You know how Amaimon attacked you all and Rin saved your asses? Remember that? Huh.
Apparently they don't. Or they do, selectively.
Yeah. I did notice, and maybe I'm remembering this wrong, but you can tell me, Laser, that during the flashback sequence, one of them was a new scene. With
I
where they
think you're
show
right.
where, yeah, the one of Ren being detained by the Paladin, and then Shiami getting upset. I think that was new to this specific episode.
That was
and more
yeah. 'Cause I think that's
Yes.
one of the things that was adapted.
Yes.
Not adapted, rather, because of the fork in the road that was the rest of the last season.
Yes, and it matters because in this version of events, Shiami is upset, and she didn't behave this way in the other like fake arc. So we're getting a different side of her, a little more complicated one, which might be a little bit more in line with her character. While she's precious, she's not perfect. She's easily afraid, and that seems to be what the reaction is here, that she doesn't like his flippant attitude, and she's upset over all of the events. So Ryuji then angrily blames Rin and his blue flames for what happened at his temple, which Rin rightfully points out it's not his fault. And both their temper flares and Rin's blue flames start to kind of pop out when Shura steps in and calls them out on their BS, diffusing the situation. So that is the end for them, and we get a final scene of Yukio brooding in the car as he's riding with.
Don't they also have that little flashback sequence of Yukio explaining what happened with Rin?
Yeah, but that I mean that's all. The rest, except for the one I mentioned, all those flashback sequences were scenes from episodes 16,
okay.
17. Yeah,
because
so those were,
I had taken
those
note of
were
that in
all
my own
recaps.
mind. Yeah, I
Yes.
taken that note of that scene in my mind because it's like, hey, look, Yukio being a good person.
So they recycled all the flashback scenes for continuity, except for the one that was new, where we see, like the fight with the Maimon, the scene in the hospital where Yukio's explaining their origins, all of that. It's all the same stuff we saw in episode 16, 17, etc. So yeah, that's where we are. I want to start with Steven, given that now this is your foray right into the new season. What are your initial thoughts? And what are your thoughts about the continuity as well?
What is going on in this story, man? It's so now I have to retcon in my own head what happened, and then say, okay, forget everything here. This is what really happened, and it's like we have to go back to square one with everyone hating Rin, and
I know how frustrating that was for you.
Yeah, it's like, why are you going? I get it, I understand it, but at least they can show him some type of sympathy. He saved you countless times. There's a flashback in there where he did go berserk, like, all good heroes do. And then still saved everyone from there. I get some of the fear behind him. But it's like, who cares? He saved you. Okay. Yes, if you have some personal grief, some personal attachment, fine. I can like 1 to 2 of them I can get, but all of them are just don't want to go with him anymore. He's the son of Satan. That's it. But then you have the one saying, "Oh, there's plenty of them that are demons. You're just different because you're the son of Satan." So it's worse in comparison with someone who's like, "Hey, you got a demon in you, but it's you're good enough. It's okay." But now you got a Satan. No, we're not gonna touch you anymore. What? Why?
Even though you work with demons and and half demons, people and demonic.
Your brother
summons.
is like technically. He says his brother says he tests himself every day and he doesn't show signs. Wait a minute. You test yourself every day. Hey, I got diabetes. I test myself every day. It doesn't mean I don't have it.
Yeah.
What's going on with that?
Oh, that's so good. I love that comparison on a lot of levels. Laser, I bet you do too.
It's
yeah.
It's good.
it doesn't make sense.
Demon beaties.
Yeah, there you go. That's what they have. You're going to like the one dude, but you're not going to like the other dude. They're both technically twins. Did that go in their heads and figure out, oh, if they're twins, it's like, in this world, are twins some, like, weird freaking nature that it's not, like, the same thing in our world? I mean, what's going on with some of this stuff? They're saying one kid's the son of Satan. The other one isn't. He's the son of? The mother?
He's also
Yeah.
the son of Satan, but like he didn't inherit the power, so that's okay.
As far as they
yeah.
know.
You know what? The guy just wears his sleeves too short, and the other one doesn't.
It really
It's
doesn't make sense to me either. I totally get where you're coming from.
Yeah, I mean, that's the only thing that it's starting from that square one thing of all this stuff. Oh, okay. I'm fine with it and everything, but I mean, I want to say I do like it. It's just starting from square one. We
have to relive this reclamation, and that's frustrating. You have to relive this reclamation, and it's gonna be a different one than the one we had to relive in the previous arc, because the distribution of frustration is different, because before Konokomaru was the focus, and now it's clearly going to be Ryuji.
Which honestly makes more sense.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I guess it is what it is. I mean, I kind of still don't like Yukio. Just being a total jerk.
It's very easy to hate him.
Raise your hand, someone out there, if you do like Yukio. I want to know why these people would like Yukio. They must be out there, right?
He's one of my favorite characters, but he's one of my favorite characters because he's a mess.
Yes. Yes.
Please email your thoughts at ToonamiFaithful.com.
Yeah, or
podcast at ToonamiFaithful.com.
Or hashtag Toonami Talkbacks.
You can always tweet it at us. We'll read it live on air.
We will. We will next week.
It's fine. Yukio he had some growth in the side arc. Now it's like back to square one with him, which is okay because he's just a one-sided character anyway who just hates on everyone. Even his brother, I'm gonna go and become the best, and it's like Rin's like, oh yeah, you're wait and see, I'm gonna become the best. And it's like, okay, it's brother drama. It's like I can take it or leave it. Who was it? And I don't know. I like it. I like the opening. I like what they're trying to do. Yeah, that's about it. I like what they're trying to do.
What did you think of Izumo and her reaction?
It needed. I think I liked it. I like what she did, and it's like she was sticking up for him and everything. But then I mean, it's her character and what she does. And she's sticking up for him when no one else would stick up for him because, he saved her and she recognizes that he saved her, but she still doesn't want to break down that wall, that barrier that she wants to do it. That she wants to go full forth. Yeah.
That's an internal thing. Actually, Laser, do you have anything you want to contribute to that thought?
She's made no bones about it. She does not want to get close to anybody. She even says that. And that's why it doesn't, she says that's why it doesn't bother her, because she's not going to get close to him anyway, so what does it matter? But that also means she doesn't want to get close to him, period, which means, I mean, yeah, she'll hang around him, but she's also not, it's not helpful in the sense of, hey, somebody likes me. No, she's just indifferent to you. It's almost... It's nice, but also not nice, and that is so Izumo, especially at this point in time. This is very indicative of who she is.
She's just very pragmatic.
Yes.
So pragmatic, you almost wonder if she's an AI. No.
So-
Not even close. She's too brash.
Yeah. So, Sketch, I'm curious, what do you think about this lead in to this impure king and that story as we enter this storyline? What are your thoughts about it?
Well, so far, I'm just kind of okay. Let's see where this goes. I'm not really intrigued so much yet.
Oh, why? I'm so disappointed.
I mean, what's so intriguing about it yet? It's just
I
the
mean,
first episode.
yeah, but
It's a
you have
bridge point.
like
There's not a ton that's happened yet.
I feel like it teases so beautifully. You have this whole lore of an ancient demon that they're gonna have to deal with and hear more of. You have a turncoat who's actually he's turned into something himself, which begs the question: like, wait a minute, if you go bad, can you become a demon? Like, I feel like there's a lot of little details in just that opening that really tease into this whole arc in a really
I
interesting way.
agree with you, but I agree with you because I've seen the whole thing already.
Yeah.
Now,
I
don't
can
get me
totally see
wrong.
how-
It's not that it's not interesting at all. I'm just kind of like, okay, well, what else you got?
Okay.
I'm not-
But you're
and
still
the good news there is a lot.
you're still in.
Yeah.
You're still in, ready to see
Oh
what's
yeah,
next,
I'm
right?
still in. I want to see where this is going. I want to see how the actual story handles everybody getting used to Rin being a demon, being the son of Satan, because
Yeah.
it's obviously handled differently than it was in the other anime episodes. So I do want to see that. Though it does kind of feel kind of annoying to be back at this point because it's just it's retreading, even though it's a totally different approach as it should be.
Mhm.
And I just kind of wish Tsunami had just stopped airing at like episode 17 and just started
I
playing.
absolutely wish that.
Especially since they went as far as acknowledging that the original anime splintered off and that this is going to be kind of familiar with the Rin doing the candles thing and all that. Oh yeah, Yukio's still a prick.
We're back here again.
I do kind of agree that in a serious situation you shouldn't make any promises, but he could work on his bedside manner.
Yeah.
You don't have to promise that you can save them, but you also don't have to promise that they're going to be dead either.
Yeah, I just tell him like we'll try everything we can.
Yeah.
But it's like you should be prepared for your child to be dead. Oh,
Like
okay,
don't say that to someone because
Yeah.
that is just you're stowing it up before it gets anywhere.
I guess I would feel more impact from that guy turncoating if it wasn't like immediately. It's like,
It felt it felt to me like Yukio doing that was a bit of a power flex on his part. He
Probably.
he likes to break the bad news up front, and I think that's not just a personality thing about being negative. I really have felt like he does it because it's a bit of a power flex. He's pointing out, well, I know this is going to happen and you should just prepare for it, and I'm better than this because I can actually defeat this bad thing that's fucked up your life.
Yeah, so
I'm not gonna
basically
say
he's
it's
saying
impossible, but-
if I can't solve this problem for you, then prepare yourself for the worst. But I can do it.
Yeah, he seems to be lacking. It's funny what Rin has Rin seems to have it in the extreme. What Yukio doesn't have at all. And that's
They complete each other.
empathy. Yeah. And in
They
another
do have
situation,
opposite flaws and virtues. It's really interesting.
sure, and you can make some comments about siblings and twins and how that's playing out, and certainly with their nature and both as twins, both as half demon brothers. But what, and I say that because obviously Yukio's his twin, and his father's Satan, so it's like, I don't think he can deny that. Even if he doesn't have any symptoms, he's still got Satan as his baby daddy.
That's
That
right.
happened. You weren't immaculately conceived, brother. that ain't the way this works. I try to give grace to the characters for being teenagers who are naturally emotive and overreact and are resentful and hold grudges. Not all of them, but the majority of them tend to behave this way. So, I try to think, okay, so sometimes this is kind of the natural way of things. But I feel like in this situation too, we're looking at it from sure, except that this is someone who has all these other times proven himself in other ways. So you're letting your emotional reaction get in the way of a very pragmatic response, which is he saved your life. If he was a bad guy, he wouldn't have done that. Yeah. Laser, are you excited?
Oh, I know where it's going, so I'm absolutely excited because this gets good.
Yeah. Any final thoughts, Sketch?
Well, like I said, I'm in it to see where it goes, and so far, entertaining enough.
Any final thoughts, Steven?
I thought this was an episode of Yasahime or Inuyasha with all that miasma talk.
It was
I'm
like
like-
a Yashime episode.
Yeah, you're like,
it's
wait a minute, we're back here?
Miasma.
Yeah, they're talking about miasma, some missing eyes they're looking for. I'm like, this guy lost his glasses or contact lenses. I'm like, what's going on? I mean, it's fun. It's going to be interesting to see where it goes, but you're introducing the eyes of the imperfect demon king, and it's like, who? What kind
I'll
of
explain
dude are
more
you
who the
looking
Impure
for?
King is over time, but yeah.
What makes him imperfect?
Well,
I
he's not
mean-
imperfect. he's
Impure.
impure.
He's impure.
And they did explain that he's the Impure King because he causes.
He's a bringer
diseases.
of plague. He's a bringer of plague.
He's the imperfect king because some dude
Impure!
carved his eyes out. I mean, like, how did he pop him out of the demon's, eye socket? Did he have like a spoon and put it in there and like popped it out? Did he like have his just like a knife and just
You have to hit him on the
that
back of the head 3 times.
Laser
gets the joke.
Alright, I see what you did there.
Yeah.
I just spent 3 hours talking about Dragon Ball Daima earlier, so I definitely
Let's
get
not. Yeah. Let's not do that now.
Hey, shout out to Dragon Ball Daima for being one of the nominees for Nickelodeon's Kids' Choice Awards for Best Animated Series. Hasn't happened to an anime since Pokemon in its heyday. Frankly, I'm surprised DBZ Kai never was on there, considering Nicktoons made it such a big deal for a while. It's gonna lose to SpongeBob. But it's still cool.
Well, on that note, it was an interesting opening. We always knew this was going to be an awkward transition, but it's going to get smoother from here. We're embarking on a new adventure with Rin and his hopefully friends as they work this all out. So I'm excited. I'm excited for everybody to see it and respond to it. But
I will say I'll give the kids a little bit of slack since they literally just found this information out.
yeah. Again, they're children. They're teenagers. They're naturally immature and don't have emotional regulation. So
No,
But I'm
not
so-
teenagers.
So sad that Shiemi doesn't want to be near Rin.
it is hard to see that reaction from her because we've come to deify her a little bit in this group.
Yeah.
But she's having a much more natural reaction to her personality. But we'll
Mhm.
see. We'll see what happens. Cool. And on that note, then I'm going to hand it back over to you and let's talk about Bleach and how
Yes.
lost Kuro is. Because Kuro's
Let
very,
us-
very lost.
Kuro's been attempting to catch up on Bleach, and the key to catching up on Bleach is not catching up on Bleach.
I'm on like episode 220 something now.
Yeah,
So
it's
I'm
all
still
on- it's all
100
there.
episodes behind where I need to be to understand what the fuck was happening in this opening.
I'm not sure that would actually help you all that much.
Honestly, no. I think as long as you know about like Arankars and Vizards and you know the primary cast and
And you
you've
I do
know
know
seen
the
the
whole
up
names.
through
story
Soul
of
Society, as long
Yeah,
as you've
I know
seen
the
up through
Soul
Soul Society, I think
That
you
helped.
got the pieces that you need.
the only
Yes,
major
that
piece
helped.
here that you need is what's a Quincy?
Yeah, no,
Which is
I
not
remember
really explored in the
they
Well,
they talk
they
about
talk
it a
about it early
little
on.
bit.
Like
So
when
there was
Urio's
enough.
introduced, you get some
Yeah,
stuff.
Urio, you about him and his family, and then the recap. Me rewatching, well, not re me watching has been a good recap. Like the different terms, the Bankai and the Shikai, and like
so many
all the
terms,
different
so many
souls.
names.
There's
Yeah,
so
the
much.
mythology.
I am
like
very glad I actually rewatched this episode because as soon as Thousand Year Blood War came out, I jumped on that. I'm glad
I
I
ended
watched
up
this episode because I forgot what they did.
yeah, I had to go back and like read the wiki entry on Hollows because I started watching where I'd left off months ago, and I was like, "Wait, what's a Hollow again? I know they're bad, but what are they?" I had to go
What's a
back and like,
paladin?
yeah,
What's a paladin?
all of it had to be so it was a little lost,
Well,
but not
let's get
like
on the same page with Hollows. Hollows, they're like spirits that are restless, right? They're
yeah,
they're
they're
spirits
stuck.
that
Okay,
stuck
so
around too long, and
They're
it
stuck.
caused them to get stuck in the
so
earthly
it
realm.
eventually you're supposed to be passed on into the
Ex-
next world, but if you
Yeah,
hang around too long, and it'll start to hollow your soul become a hollow. Like they're called hollows because they're not the soul's not all there. Yet
Mhm.
and they have to get purified to get that back.
Mhm.
Right.
There's early on compared to holes being everyone else and then hollows.
right. And Quincy's, other than Soul Reapers, they just straight up kill Hollows, right?
Yes,
They
Yeah.
just
they just destroy
so they
them,
don't put them to rest; they just destroy them.
which is the
which
problem because it
upsets
causes
the
an
balance.
imbalance.
Yes, I remember. I didn't remember that. I was reacquainted with that the whole balance
Yeah,
part.
but that's pretty early on in that's season 1 Bleach. That's before.
And then
Soul
there's
Society
like
even.
something about like pure Quincy's and not pure Quincy's, stuff like that, and yeah.
And the big thing that's relevant here is the Quincy's and the Soul Reapers.
Don't get along.
They do not get along. They had a falling out, and the Quincy's were basically wiped out. Rio and his
Or
family
were
the last
they?
ones. Or were they? Is what we're learning now.
Yes.
But
So
last I left off, Ichigo was still a substitute Soul Reaper. He wasn't a full deal. He'd have his holification unlocked. So that's where
I mean,
I'm at.
he's
Where
still
I'm
a
watching.
substitute Soul Reaper.
He's pretty much always a substitute
Okay.
Soul Reaper.
Okay, so that's still the same. And then like I'm at the whole part where they're fighting the traitor dude and all that fun stuff.
You're
So
in the
I'm
Eisen
assuming-
War.
Yeah, I'm in the Eisen War. That's where I'm at.
Well, I mean, that doesn't
So
get
I'm
resolved
assuming
basically
a
until
lot of-
Fullbring.
Yeah, so I'm assuming like that was all resolved and now we're here.
Okay, so
Yes.
TLDR Eisen War happens. Things happen that cause.
Isn't
other
there a
things to
time
happen.
skip between
time-
the
So
Eisen
there's-
War and Fullbring?
Yes, there is. Because reasons I'm trying not to spoil for Kuro here, but basically there are some things that occur at the end of the Eisen War that are dealt with in the Fullbring arc, specifically regarding Ichigo, that have to get dealt with, that do get dealt with, and then there's the bad guy in that in the Fullbring arc is another substitute Soul Reaper. Doesn't really figure into at least what I've seen of a 1,000 Year Blood War, but there's still a whole season left, so I don't know.
Okay. So
Okay.
that's a great
But
segue. Let's get into it.
In
Let's
terms of what you've
get
seen,
into
Kuro, I think you're going to be fine.
Yeah.
Yeah, I kind of dragged Duelist into watching this with me, even though he watched about as much Bleach as I did. throughout
I
its
did see
its
a
Adult
fun,
Swim Toonami run.
I did see a good fun post on Twitter where it was like, finally, after over a decade, the big three are back on Toonami.
That's right. Though JP will tell you it's not the big three, it's just the big me.
Well, I mean, yeah.
Ichigo Kurosaki. And boy, does he farm some aura in this. But we'll get to
Oh,
that.
yes.
We have an opening narration spoken by somebody. We're not sure who yet, but he's voiced by Richard Epcar. And he's talking about the Quincy King. Now we flash over to somewhere in Soul Society, and they're freaking out because hollows seem to be vanishing rapidly from the land of the living. And as we already mentioned, that throws things out of balance. That's very bad. So, creepy scientist guy is like, why didn't you tell me this sooner?
Shin Kurotsuchi.
That was good. That was a good imitation.
Oh, that's a great Kurotsuchi voice, yes.
So, we meet two fresh Soul Reapers coming to Karakura Town. There's the brash Shino and the very cowardly Ryunosuke, who sounds an awful lot like Zenitsu, because he's also voiced by Alex Lee.
Yeah.
And she's like, all right, I'm going to go this side. You go to that side. It's like, what? We're splitting up? Well, yeah. Are you scared? Yes, I'm scared. Why are you so proud of that?
Well, the best part about that was, it's like, if you're scared, that's all I have to say, and I'll help you out. Yes, I'm scared. Oh, well, I'm going anyway. Bye.
That doesn't go well for her, because she's taken out first.
No.
And
Does
he's
not go well.
immediately attacked as he's muted. Like, I heard that Karakura Town has a lot of attacks. Yeah. And
Yeah,
he
it
does, to his credit, try to step up ever so briefly, but before he can even draw his sword, he gets ganked and gets knocked out. He's bloody on the ground. But luckily, help arrives. Cue a new version of number 1 as our heroes Orihime Inoue, Yatsura Chad Sato, Uryu Ishida, and Ichigo Kurosaki save the newbies and dispatch the threat in style.
I love this. Hitting the ground
so hype.
running. Hitting the ground running.
Oh, hype.
It's beautiful animation. The colors are amazing. The characters are just this gives you a taste of what's to come, and I love it.
It really. Though I do wonder about the collateral damage. Like, Chad punched one of those hollows into another building. I was like, there's probably people in that building.
Yeah, probably.
Can somebody fix that? I forget. Can somebody fix that?
I can't remember exactly how that works, to be honest with you. I know that in one situation, they literally swapped out the town so that wouldn't be a problem, but I don't think that's
Right, fake Karakura Town.
Yeah, and that's why they did that, because it's collateral damage. But I'm pretty sure collateral damage is just... Although we got an Orihime for that.
Yeah, she can help, but I don't know if she can fix...
reverse. She can just reverse time on things. That's what she does.
I guess she can do that. All right. Well, her powers are so OP.
Her powers not healing. It's rejection of phenomenon, basically, which she uses to heal. But that's not what it actually, strictly speaking, does. I might be a Bleach fan.
Kuro, do you think Bleach or Naruto did it first? Using a power that rejects bad realities.
Isn't Naruto technically older than Bleach?
It is, but not by many years.
I'm wrong. But like,
not that many years. So it's possible that Orihime's powers existed before.
Well, Orihime's powers were seen pretty early, but they weren't explained until like middle of the Aizen War. I don't know. You have to look at specific comparisons.
It is really funny. It is really funny you mentioned that, Sketch, because I mentioned before that I didn't watch Bleach while it was running on Toonami. I only watched Naruto. So a lot of people have made comparisons to them as being, part of the shonen cast, if you will, like the basic shonen trio that you watch. And I see it's more than just the shonen trope itself. It's like there's a lot of story elements that are similar in ways. But I texted you, was it this week? I was watching while I was doing my watch, and I was like, they have the same amount of filler, but it's way more disruptive and obnoxious than it ever was on Naruto. Like in the freaking middle of a fight, they're literally in the middle of an important fight, and then they stop and switch to a different story. And it was not like that. Yeah,
I can only think of one time when Naruto did that, and it was during the Pain arc, like as he's confronting what's his real name?
Yeah.
Pain's real name. When he's confronting him to talk, like right before that's resolved, they do a little filler that may or may not be slightly related to it, but it was very disruptive. It was a bad choice. They should have just waited until after.
But
Bleach did it all the time. Like Bleach does it in the middle of Ichigo's fight with what's that guy?
Ulquiorra?
Yeah, Ulquiorra, yeah.
And then right in the middle of the fight with Ulquiorra, even before that, they're in fending off the Arankar, and there's an arc in there. There's an arc, like it's not in a natural transition
There's
period.
really only one good Bleach filler arc anyway, just one.
But that's the thing, I don't actually care. There's nothing wrong with the fillers themselves. It's the placement of them. And
the placement's obnoxious.
The placement's always obnoxious in Bleach, yes.
It actually pissed me off because Bleach is so egregious about it, and yet people get on Twitter during Naruto Shippuden's run and bitch and complain about the filler, and I'm like, you're getting this in a transitional period. It's not disrupting the storyline, and you all were like standing hard for Bleach. I feel really resentful of that. Like every fan deserves to have their own response to whatever.
A lot of people get mad at Bleach for its filler.
But I'm calling out of hypocrisy because I hear like people go hard for Bleach about it being such a staple, not just in general to anime, but for Toonami. Like people going hard for Bleach, and yet they're bragging on Naruto for doing it, and they're doing it. At least they're doing it better. So, because the Bleach ones they're just so egregious. And I guess the one good thing about this story coming up is that there's not going to be a real opportunity for lengthy.
Not only is there no filler,
lengthy filler, because of the way these episodes are. They're 13 episode. There's 13 episode arcs, so
there is additional material in these.
So they really there's no time for it. Even if they do it, it'll be like a 1 episode one or a 2 episode one. Blue Exorcist.
They're not gonna.
Oh, okay. I didn't know.
It's a director's cut. The manga at this particular storyline, the last storyline of Bleach, was rushed. Yeah. The anime adds scenes, new scenes that make the story more coherent.
Yeah. Anyway, I don't want to hear any more people bitching about Naruto Shippuden, okay? It's just I'm watching Bleach now, and it's worse. I mean, I still like it. Like I like what I'm seeing, but holy crap, it's pretty bad.
It's at the very least easier to ignore the filler in Naruto.
Yeah, the biggest problem about Bleach filler is they'll let it stay. Like those freaking bounce detectors stay around in canon material. I hate that.
I thought the bounce one wasn't terrible. It's not as bad as some of the other ones. The bounce one's like fine.
Yeah, but it's annoying that they're in canon.
They kept the characters from that filler and added them into canon stuff.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's
what makes that annoying.
You're not supposed to do that.
You got me all worked up. You got me all worked up. You had to mention Shippuden, and you know how I feel about Shippuden.
Look, I just wanted to make a comparison to.
Sorry, I took it and I went off on a tangent. My apologies, sir.
Though I agree that there is some hypocrisy in that. A lot of people get on Bleach's case for filler, but even more people get on Bleach's case for just not being particularly good. So.
Oh, I think it has a fascinating story. I think it's a great story to tell. It's a lot of fun.
Bleach is either really good or it eats paste. It depends on what part of the story you're in.
And it's got
Thankfully, this stuff's at least interesting so far.
Oh no, Fazio Blood
Yeah.
War, I Will Die on This Hill is the best arc of Bleach.
Yeah.
At least in
I
the
didn't-
anime.
You made me get
yes,
shrill.
I can't speak for the manga, because the manga version, from what I hear, also eats pace because they don't have all the details. But
Now we're gonna have to get Craig to turn down my shrillness. Damn it.
I mean, I'm the one that takes care of that manually.
yay!
I'm sorry.
Anyway,
you have the floor. Yes.
2 days later, how appropriate. 2 days later, Ryunosuke wakes up in Ichigo's bedroom, and the gang is all over there enjoying some leftover bread from the bakery that I guess Orihime works at. And the newbies get to reunite, and it seems like they're going to have a tearful reunion, and then Shino attacks poor Ryunosuke. And Ichigo's like, hey, new guy, quit freaking out. You haven't even told me your name yet. And someone else entirely answers. That being Asuyagaro Eburn, who introduces himself while standing on Ichigo's bed. Which makes Ichigo ask, what the hell are you doing standing on my bed? And he asks twice before kicking him out the window. And Eburn's like, whoa, he didn't even warn me. What do you mean he didn't warn you? You're standing on the man's bed. You do not stand on a guy's bed. Unacceptable.
It is unacceptable.
Ishida mentions that he might be an Arrancar, noting the piece of mask on his face. So Ichigo asks Eburn if he is an Arrancar, and this really makes Eburn mad.
He did not like being called that.
He took exception to that.
He
Yeah,
did.
that's rude. Rude.
But then he shows him something that might seem a bit familiar. Somehow this guy has Quincy powers.
Dun dun dun.
And he's all so smug about it. It's like, do you see something that's familiar, Ichigo Kurosaki? Look at me dangle my chain.
Look at my pretty cross.
Yes.
Star thing.
Yes. Meanwhile, an enemy faction infiltrates head captain Genryusai Shingekuni Yamamoto's office in the Soul Society and delivers a fatally wounded Lieutenant Chochijori Sasakabe as an example to what's going to happen to everybody else. And they declare war between the Wanderreich and the Soul Society, and then refuse to elaborate as they disappear. And Sasakabe proceeds to warn the head captain that this enemy concealed there. As this occurs, Eburn goads Ichigo into using his Bankai, attempting to seal it with his Quincy medallion. But Ichigo just happens to have way too much aura to lose. So Eburn fails and retreats using some kind of shadow to disappear. Interesting. Also in the Soul Society,
Very interesting.
Ikaku and Yumikichi, the peacock guy, investigate some villagers from Rukon district being spirited away. But as far as I can tell, it seems like there's just footprints, like normal footprints. So they were probably taken by other villagers? Strange.
I love one of the commentaries. It seems supernatural. Then they're just like, no, shut up. And I'm like, you are all supernatural.
Supernatural, right?
All of you are super. Don't you go, oh, that's stupid to me. You are a death god. Shut up.
So yeah, if you felt like these guys were giving off some Nazi vibes, well, I mean, they're called the Wandenreich. So
London, like, they are absolutely Nazi coded to hell. I'm back, and it's amazing.
And back at their home base, Eburn squabbles with another member who immediately loses an arm when their leader, Yuash, reminds them he does not like conflict. And then Yuash asks, how are their plans for peace proceeding? I believe this is supposed to be a play on the term Yahweh.
It's a combination, and it's actually, you'll find out it's spelled Yuash, but it's Yuabaha. And it's a combination of Yahweh and some other god who I can't remember who, but it's literally let's take some god names and mash them together.
It's a Canaanite, but I'll another episode. We'll get into
It's
that.
Iwabaha. Now here's the detail that I found interesting, that Iwabaha looks very familiar, doesn't he?
Oh, I almost spat out my drink. He does. He looks like Ichigo's sword.
Yes, he looks like old man Zangetsu.
White.
Yeah. Ooh. Wonder if that's related. Very interesting. He has such a dashing mustache.
He does. But yes, peace. I hate conflict, said after he rips the guy's arm off.
Let's be real. That guy was asking for it.
I mean, you're not wrong, but like, I
Just
want
making an example.
How are the plans for peace going? Says the man who rips a man's arm off and says he hates violence. This is bad.
He hates conflict. Oh my goodness. Oh my goodness.
Gosh.
I mean, none of us probably know the answer to this, but how often does Ishida actually hang out at Ichigo's house? I feel like it's not often.
Probably not super often, but I mean, they were taking care of Soul Society people, so I think that's why. Something notable had occurred.
Perhaps. I did enjoy them, eating the bread together, breaking bread together.
Also arguing, because that's what they do.
It's what they do. Why don't you go get some plates? Well, I'm not going to let you order me around. It wasn't an order. It was just a suggestion that would be helpful to you. Like, okay, yeah, sure, whatever, Ishida, sure. Whatever. Can I talk about something that always bothered me in the dub? Why does Ichigo call him Uryu, his first name, when Ishida he doesn't like...
He calls it Kurosaki.
Yeah, so...
I actually like that. I think it's a good view at who these two people are. One of them's trying to be more friendly, the other's being more formal.
But I think it's inaccurate to, like, the sub and the manga.
It might be. I'm not... I couldn't tell you.
Maybe I'm just basing it off of old fan translations because, guess how I watched Bleach the first time?
I was watching
fan subbed.
I watched it on Adult Swim Action and transferred over to Toonami. That was me.
Yeah, I eventually watched it on Adult Swim, but when I originally watched it, it was
I see.
Before it was on Adult Swim.
See, I hadn't even heard of it before that.
And I don't recall how it is in the manga translation for Viz.
I couldn't tell you, although I might have to go look that up at some point.
Perhaps. Oh yeah, solid reintroduction to the world of Bleach, I think.
Hits the ground running. Doesn't waste time with... Oh, I mean, we get a nice little scene of hey, remember these guys with this? Hey, remember these guys and how awesome they are? While also progressing the plot forward very quickly.
I love the head captain is like, I don't need any other security because I am here.
Okay, All Might.
I think he said it before All Might, technically, but...
He did. Yes, I'm sure, 100% sure he did. But it's funny.
It's very funny. You can't not make the association.
No,
it's totally...
but I get what he means, though, because you do not mess around with him when you say Yamamoto. That dude is badass as hell.
No, if you can... you don't need any other security when Kenryu's side.
The only reason you have security around him is security to, say, protect the other person. Although,
yeah,
good enough.
Yeah. Yeah, so war were declared. I presume 1,000-year... It won't take that long. Or will it?
It's like, oh. Well, if it had filler, it might.
I'm guessing that's probably a reference to a prior war.
I could actually straight up answer, but I don't know if you want me to or not.
Yeah, better not.
It's not necessarily a big plot point, but yeah.
Now, I've personally never been the biggest fan of Bleach. Back in the Soul Society arc, I was pretty hip on it. I thought it was pretty great. And then I mainly fell off of it and didn't really keep up with it outside of like peeking in until it came back on Toonami. And how funny is it that Bleach is returning to this Toonami roughly the same weekend that it started on Adult Swim Toonami back in 2012.
I had no
Just
idea.
kind of,
That's amazing.
just kind of fun.
That's a cool coincidence. I had
If
no
you
idea.
count April 1st, it's not nearly as close, but I'm counting May 26th.
Yeah,
Which
that's
is close enough.
That's close enough. Yeah,
Close enough. So that's kind of neat. So,
that is neat.
So I have a very fractured viewing of Bleach. I did check up on it on Adult Swim from time to time before Toonami came back, but I didn't really watch it dedicatedly until Toonami came back. So then I saw the last two arcs as they aired on Toonami.
I watched the whole thing except for the Bound arc. I did not bother watching that.
I did watch the Bound arc back in the day. That was okay.
I knew it was filler when it happened. I knew that it would come back, so I just kind of waited for it, and then
I watched it, and I didn't know it was filler until halfway through.
And then they proceeded to taunt you, Laser, forever and ever by incorporating these characters.
They did. And I even bought the DVDs of the show, and I skipped those episodes, because what's nice about the DVD sets for Bleach, the old ones at least, is literally they knew. Because there's 2 sets for the Bound arc, and there are no episodes that are canon on either set. You can literally just skip over them, and I did.
Well, that's appreciated.
Unfortunately, the rest of the filler is not so lucky. You have to buy them, at least you have to at least buy one of the sets with a filler on it in order to get canon material. And just like, no, you had it right the first time. Why?
It just doesn't always work out that way.
It doesn't. But
so,
yeah,
Kuro, with your fractured view of Bleach, what do you think of this first episode?
It's fun. This is really messing with my sense of the rightness of things and the continuity of things, given that I'm not caught up. But excuse me, sorry, that's my alarm. I committed myself. I was like, no, I'm not gonna skip it and just wait until I get through this 100 more episodes. It's like I'm gonna watch it and just kind of go with it. I was gonna go and read or watch a video to catch up and close the gap, but I decided against doing that. I thought, I have in the past watched Toonami where I've walked in the middle of something and been able to acclimate pretty quickly. Like I've done that during certain One Piece arcs and then gone back and rewatched, and I've done that. I've done that with other shows, so I'm confident that I can at least now that I'm back on track, I know the basics. It looks like an interesting start. I'm really curious to see where this goes. I'm just like, now that I've started on this journey, I'm like, oh shit, I really need to finish this season. I don't know how there's no way. I mean, I committed to it. I'm going to do it, but there's no way it's going to happen. Certainly not this week. It's probably going to take me about a month and a half to catch up. And then I'm going to have to like write that in my mind with where we started. But it's okay. I think it's fun. It's fun to see Ichigo back on Toonami, and now I actually care. Now I'm paying attention. So this is technically a first for me to be watching him on Toonami and like actually watching, So yeah, that's exciting. I'm actually curious to know what Steven thinks, given like I would imagine you were actually watching when it was on and you cared.
I'm trying to remember. I think got back into Toonami and I watched Bleach, and that's about it. I think I remember the theme songs, the opening songs, more than actually the fights. I just remember, I think that arc where they were fighting each other over buildings, that's basically what I remember. And then going to that one arc, I think the final Bleach arc, where they had the doll house, where he was like a doll for a bit and everything, and I don't know, it's all confusing to me. I'm not the best like Bleach expert or watcher and everything. I did like it though. This first episode was like it's back on Toonami. It felt right. I didn't know most of the lore, but I'm like, who cares? It's just a lot of action. I mean, having Ichigo kick the guy off his bed. That was like the best thing to do in that situation. Like, I don't care what your name is. I don't care anything. But get off my bed. And he just kicks him. And before the guy's like trying to answer. And he's like, nope, that's it. Just one kick off the bed, out the window. And it's like, I'm done with this. And I'm like, yeah. This
had
is
the
Bleach.
nerve
It's
to
bad.
ask if he would repeat himself.
And it was like, it felt right just to see it back on Toonami, just to see that kind of old nostalgia wave. And then at the end, the credits at the end, just reliving every single thing from the first moments of Bleach to what I remember on
That credits for
Toonami.
this episode was really
Yeah.
nice.
That was a fun little recap for people like, oh yeah, this show has been on for a bit. Oh yeah, here's a spot that I remember watching, and then going from there. I'm like, oh okay, yeah, I missed a lot in between, and it's like, okay, maybe I should watch it again. But yeah, it was a fun, worthwhile episode. That, I mean, yeah, you had to know some things, but the characters themselves, you didn't need to know because you already knew. You kind of knew that baseline thing of like, okay, you have Ichigo, who's the substitute Soul Reaper, who's technically not a substitute anymore, but they still say he is. But he still has his team of his core four that just goes out and destroys these hollows, and it's like, and he knows that he's good enough because he's got that smile on. He's like, yeah, I'll take care of him, and he just like slashes the one, and it's like, yeah, I'm done. Let me take over this fight, and it's like, yeah. It was just fantastic all around. The mixing of the 3D graphics with the traditional kind of cell animation, that was a fun touch to that.
Yeah, it looks nice.
Yeah, it fit well with everything around it. What else? I don't know what else to say. I liked it. I'll enjoy more of it. Probably I'll watch some recap video like Kuro's going to do to see what I missed beforehand. But I mean,
Oh no, I'm going in raw. I'm raw,
Okay.
raw dogging it.
Raw dog in the bleach.
I
Don't
changed
raw
my
dog your bleach. Do not do this at home.
Also, don't chug it.
Yeah, don't chug your bleach. Don't pour bleach in your eyes. Don't. Just use bleach for clothes, please, and cleaning. Okay, speaking of cleaning, we should probably do some house cleaning. But I do want to say,
what did you think, Sketch? Any final thoughts before we move on?
yeah, I'm used to Bleach looking a certain way, and this anime is so much better looking than I know Bleach to look.
It's so pretty. I love it.
It's gorgeous. And it's such an interesting contrast to how Ichigo was at the beginning of Bleach, very reluctant to take on the responsibility, and now he's all like, yeah, slaying hollows ain't no thing. I like that. I like that for him. He's one cool customer, that Ichigo Kurosaki.
Mm-hmm.
And you do not disrespect a man's bed. You don't do that.
That's not okay.
You don't do that. Not okay.
I feel like
Not
that's
okay.
kind of a thing too. Like a lot of these characters just show up and they're in his bedroom, and he's like, "Is nothing sacred?"
It does. It
Nothing
does happen a lot.
sacred. Why is it always my bedroom?
It is always his bedroom. That is true. That happens a lot.
Unless it's Orohime, I don't want to see any of your asses in here.
Oh, he's always welcoming of Chad.
That's
Chad's
okay.
a cool
Chad's a real
guy.
one.
That's because he's
Chad-
a Chad.
Yes, he's
Yeah,
like the
he
reason.
is a Chad.
And in my brain, that's where they came up with that term, because of him.
That's actually how I understood the term the second I heard it. I'm not even joking.
Nice.
He's the
All
only one
right.
that makes it real for me.
Yeah. So even though I've never been the biggest Bleach fan, I am excited. I'm excited to see where this is going. I hear good things. And it was a hype first episode like that. That like when the music kicks in and they're all coming, I was like, this is great. It may not last, but this moment is beautiful.
I think you're in for a good ride. I think you're gonna enjoy it.
Good. I like to hear that. I love bread and butter shonen. I really do. So if it hits the right boxes, I'm gonna have a good time. And it seems like it's gonna.
Yeah.
The only
So
one
yes,
I'm going to
long
give
live the reign of King Ichigo. Welcome back, King. We missed you.
The only warning I'm going to give you is this gets dark fast.
I believe it. I mean, Bleach has always kind of dabbled in the darkness, and it does totally make sense that they would go all in on it. I mean, we got Nazis around now, so
We've already got a named character death. That's going to happen a lot.
Oh, he's actually dead? I thought he was just.
He's dead.
Oh wow, I thought he was just like very badly wounded. But
Oh no, he is dead.
Oh, he dead.
He dead.
Oh man, that's rough. That guy was all right.
Lovable characters you probably like. Just be ready.
Oh no!
That's why I'm warning you.
Okay, stop doing that. Stop doing that. No more. Enough.
Yeah,
Foreboding.
You're making me anxious. You're making
Foreboding.
me anxious.
All right. Let's wrap it up here. You can email us at podcast@ToonamiFaithful.com. You can follow us on Facebook.com/ToonamiFaithfulPodcast and on Twitter @ToonamiPodcast. You can listen to the podcast on just about everything, including Apple Podcasts, CastBox, Deezer, Google Podcasts, iHeartRadio, Overcast, Podbay, Podbean, PodcastAddictRadio.com, Spotify, and the TuneIn app. You can find every episode of the podcast to stream online at the same place they found the files in Lazarus, SoundCloud.com/ToonamiFaithfulPodcast. And you can get the latest news by following @ToonamiFaithful.com on Blue Sky and @ToonamiNews on Twitter. And read the news, views, and reviews on ToonamiFaithful.com. Steven, tell the folks where they can find you.
You can find me and Brittany live tweeting Toonami every Saturday night. We're doing all the shows. You'll see my pithy comments about how Bleach is back and all that other stuff. You can find me on mostly any social media platform under MXAGos. I don't care if you want to follow me. You do? Hey, you don't? Hey, you're not going to miss anything. I'm just tweeting about like Kamen Rider half the time. And Yu-Gi-Oh! Sometimes. Toonami Faithful lets me, they require me to post one thing about Yu-Gi-Oh! Every month. I did not post it this month. That's my disclaimer. We will post something this month.
Excuse me, I said you're only allowed to post something for Yu-Gi-Oh! every month.
Yeah. You got that reversed.
You got that reversed.
I still have to put my one thing in. You know, it's up to them if they want to approve it or not.
You think I actually look at posts for approval?
No one looks at Yu-Gi-Oh stuff. Just me, okay?
Just get that check mark. I think there's definitely a Yu-Gi-Oh follow. Trust me, you're not the only one.
All right, if you haven't used it yet, you can at least one time use the "It should have been me."
I will. Don't worry.
All right, make it good. Make it good. Laser, tell the folks where they can find you.
You can find me on Twitter at LaserKid Prime. You can find me on Blue Sky LaserKid. And you can find me on my handy dandy podcast on YouTube and Spotify podcast, The Saddled Up Saints, which I've had most of these people on as guests for.
Yes, you have. Kuro, tell the folks where they can find you.
I am on Twitter and on Blue Sky at Happy Kuro Kitty, or searching for Happy Kuro. And everybody watch Blue Exorcist. Give it a chance. You're going to be glad you did. It's great.
You're going to like the show you watched. She guaranteed it.
Yes. Sketch,
Guarantee
where
it.
can they find you?
You can find me on Twitter and Blue Sky, Sketch1984. And I actually watched all of Toonami this past Saturday. I watched it from start to finish. I did have to take a brief break during Naruto, which is a shame because it was a really good episode of Naruto.
Mm-hmm.
Kakashi beat the brakes off that Zabuza.
Yeah, I know. I love that episode. Love it.
And hey, Kuro, you think Kakashi was having a bit of a flashback as he jammed his hand through Haku's chest?
Oh man, you know it's funny. I actually just kind of rewatched him doing the fight in Shippuden where he's fighting the two Akatsuki, and it's so interesting to compare because he's still like he's doing the same, but he goes from being deliberately like completely defensive as opposed to how he's fighting Zabuza, and I like to do a little like panel of Kakashi fights and how he changes his style, and I'm like, oh, I mean, I could watch him all day. To be honest, he's pretty sexy.
He becomes way more reserved.
Yeah, he sucks as a teacher, but he's a great fighter. He's number one.
He becomes much more cautious in his fights later on, which is understandable.
Yeah, pretty bold too, where he was like telling Naruto and Sakura, like, leave Sasuke to me, and I'm like, I don't know if you can take him. I'm not confident about that. I don't think that's gonna work. But yeah, don't get me started. Why would you do that?
Man, if only Sasuke had actually died right here.
Yeah.
If only. It would have had such an emotional impact. No,
then we'd still never hear the end of it.
Then Naruto for the rest of the series would be like, man, I wish I was as cool as Sasuke.
Do it for Sasuke.
Do it for Sasuke.
The unrealized potential. It'd be the same obsession. Potential. Yeah, it'd be the same obsession, just played out differently.
Oh no, you're absolutely right. Okay, maybe it's fine how it is.
Just be mad at him instead now, and it's a little fun. Ow.
Yeah.
Oh, we got to get back to that one day.
We will.
We will.
And Laser and hopefully Yumiko and I will get back to One Piece at some point because Luffy just went 4th gear.
Yeah.
Ooh.
And Bounce Man is just the most ridiculous power.
Bounce Man.
It's just hard when we have like a lot of good things happening now.
We
like,
do. This is a good time to be
recordings are about
fan.
things that are actually airing, not that there's nothing airing. So we're trying to grasp at things to talk about. So it's great.
Mm-hmm.
It's a good time.
And I don't want to call it too soon, but it seems like Sailor Moon and Naruto were going to stick around for the long haul, at least past June. And I figured that they were probably leaving in June if they were under the same contract. So, we'll see. Also an interesting oddity, and I might be jumping the gun here, but Bleach is not available on demand on AdultSwim.com right now.
Yeah,
maybe it'll show up sometime this week, but if it doesn't, this is like a whole new world where they actually acquired the rights to something without the streaming rights. Could open some possibilities that seemed otherwise very unlikely before. But again, I might be jumping the gun. We'll see. We'll check back. But it would be interesting, wouldn't it? Please, put the other Hulu anime on Toonami. There's so many bangers. So many bangers. Just fill the whole thing with Hulu anime. They're so good. All right. Thank you all for listening, whether you tuned in live or are listening after the fact in the regular podcast form. We always appreciate your listenership. Be sure to share the podcast with your friends if you think they'd be interested. And, whatever. Just get it out there. Spread the word. we're here. We're still podcasting, and Toonami is still on the air, and frankly, better than it has been in a while. So watch it. Enjoy it. Let us enjoy it. The time of reaping is upon us. That sounded more foreboding than I intended.
Dum, dum, dum.
Yeah. Good stuff. Good stuff. Watch it. Enjoy it. And until next time. I want some of that bread.
嗯哼。
4 to 5 doctors agree. Soul Reapers are good for you.